What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one, I want to talk about what's going on with Tesla stock in the overall market. I want to do an in-depth technical analysis video on Tesla and talk about some interesting structures developing and also what's going on with the market for now as we approach Tuesday before market open. But before I break anything down, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, now let's talk about what's going on with the market, what's going on with Tesla. I just want to remind you all that I'm going to be unavailable to record my videos for the weekend. This video is actually pre-recorded. I'm uploading this later just to give you guys some like really good insights on technical analysis. I'm not going to focus on news or anything else because I can't really see any like data in the future. I don't know what's going to happen for like the 23rd through the 25th, what pieces of news will be coming out. So I just want to focus on the charts. I'm going to be unavailable for the weekend and I just want to still have content at least for you guys. And I still think that this video will be very useful for Tuesday anyways. So anyways, what's going on with the markets as a reminder? All right. Today should be by the time you're watching this, it should be December 24th. It should be Thursday, not Thursday, sorry, Sunday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. So I hope you guys are having a very, very great day. The market's going to be closed on Monday for Christmas. And then for Tuesday, that's when the market's going to reopen, December 26th. We have the Chicago Fed National Index coming out, very minor data, home prices, which is very, very minor. But at 10:30 a.m., we have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. This is going to be a little bit more serious, could cause more volatility. But besides that, everything else is just kind of like minor, nothing too crazy for Tuesday. Anyways, let's focus on the charts now. Let's talk about how this is looking. Very simple, guys. We have a left shoulder that possibly formed on Tesla. We have a head up here. Now we have a right shoulder that's forming right here. This actually formed on Friday. Got a big rejection. This is technically a bearish structure, and we could see some downside thanks to that. Now Tesla got this big drop right here, and then we start to just rebound, forming a bear flag. We broke below the bear flag, which could lead to more downside. This essentially could be starting a bearish structure, so you want to be very careful with Tesla. Also, Tesla struggled at this 258 area. We just barely touched it and just got a rejection, forming wicks right here for the sell-off, which tends to be a bearish structure. So if you look at Tesla, we were basically above this yellow trend line. This is historical support. We kind of like touched this, touched it, bounced, touched it, bounced, touched it, bounced, and we got a big breakdown. It tried to get back and it failed. It got a big rejection. So that's going to be something that's very important to note. On the daily time frame for Tesla, we have the daily chart right here. You could see that Tesla basically closed just barely above the 200 EMA. That's going to be a very important support at 252. We'll see if that holds, but the daily candlestick looks a little bit weaker, so just be a little bit careful. With that being said, guys, as far as Tesla goes, what do I see going forward? How would I turn bearish? How would I turn bullish? Here's the very simple answer. Watch resistance at 254, 256, 258, and then 260. Those are just some resistance levels. For support, make sure you watch 252, this range right here. If it loses this, there is some support at 251.5, but it's not that strong. The strongest support is going to be 250, then we have 247 below that. Tesla has this very interesting pattern where, like I showed you guys earlier, December 14th, look at the chart, we pumped. When we opened, then we dumped and pumped a little bit. We basically pumped and dumped on Friday, December 15th. On Monday, December 18th, we pumped and dumped. On Tuesday, December 19th, we pumped, dumped, and pumped a little bit. Wednesday, we pumped and dumped. Thursday, we pumped, dumped, and then pumped. And then finally for Friday, we pumped and then dumped. So, what is the structure? What is the pattern? Tesla has a tendency for the last, few weeks, it pumps and then it dumps. And then we'll see if it pumps again. So, the overall structure could be turning bearish if we start establishing lower highs and lower lows. But to do so, we're going to be looking for a little bounce here. We're going to see how Tesla tries to perform here. And if anything, it is getting a little bit weaker. So we could even I could even do this. I could even I'm going to try to delete some of these trend lines. I know this is getting kind of like a little bit messy, but you could draw a trend line here. This is going to be like another resistance worth watching. But basically, it aligns with our 256 area to 254. So it doesn't really matter. You don't need to do that, but you could do that just for fun. But the reason why I did that is because we could push up like this, just a little bit, push up, because we bounced very close to the 0.618 fib level. And we're going to be watching to see if Tesla fails here. It's going to likely pump and dump like this. And then we'll see, does it bounce back up to turn bullish or does it end up losing 250? If we close below 250 for at least 2 days, I could turn bearish and then we could start to see this thing start sinking. As we have this head and shoulders, as we have this bear flag, things are kind of like adding up. But why do I think it might bounce a little bit first? That's because of the fact that we technically have this. Whoops, let me actually fix this. Give me 1 second, guys. I think I clicked the wrong thing. Basically, we have this Fibonacci retracement chart I can actually bring up right here. Tesla basically bounced very close to the 0.618 retracement. You can even, freeze your screen if you want to see that. So it hit a key fib level. We saw this wick form, so it's going to likely see a little bit of an attempt to push, especially because of this pattern. But it's going to likely see resistance once it hits this 255 to 254 area. And then we're going to be watching to see a rejection, a pump and dump. Could come back down towards 250, but we'll see if this holds or not. Does Tesla try to push up again, or does it end up collapsing? There's a good chance it's going to retrace just a bit. So just be a little bit careful looking at this. So if you want to be bullish, okay, this is kind of tricky. This is hard. You need to see Tesla break 250, get above 250, and get above the yellow trend line. That's how you turn bullish. But that's really hard because we have a lot of this type resistance at this 258 to 260 area. So it's going to be really difficult to do this. That's why it's looking less likely. The most likely possibility is kind of like a pump and dump move on Tesla, some consolidation, maybe a sell off later on. It is looking a little bit weaker. We have this bearish structure that developed. The bear flag has been playing out. We have a head and shoulders like pattern. It is looking weaker, guys. There's no other way for me to say it. Even the daily looks kind of weak. We're going to be watching the 200 EMA. Do we close below this? Looking a little bit weaker, so just be very careful. Now, for SPY, I'm seeing something very similar developing, but I'm not officially extremely bearish unless we get confirmation to the downside. Tesla has some confirmation, but SPY doesn't have it yet. What do I mean by that? Because when you look at this structure, SPY has a bear flag forming, but it hasn't broken down yet. So if you look at SPY, I think this bounced close to one of its key retracement levels. Let me actually double check this just to be safe. If we look at SPY like this, you'll notice that we ended up bouncing close to the 0.5 retracement. So it wasn't the 0.61, it was the 0.5. But still, that those are like some key levels. It's been stuck in this channel. See how it's going like back and forth and back and forth in this channel. We're going to be watching to see if we can see a continuation for the time being and if we get some kind of break. Whichever way we break will determine if we're like really bullish or not. So we're going to be watching to see that very carefully. But basically, I'm anticipating a little bounce like this. I think it's going to try to bounce, and then we're going to be watching to see if the move fails. Because recently we're seeing some sellers kind of like fighting, they're trying to defend. So there are some instances where SPY is looking kind of weaker. If you're bullish on SPY, you want to see this thing break 476. If we break this, our next full measured move will take us to 478. This is going to come if we break 476. That's the more bullish case. That's what's bullish. Do I think this is going to happen? I don't really favor it, but I just want to call it out just to be safe. And then if we get this little bounce and we end up failing, I'm not going to be really bearish until we truly break this support. You guys see this support right here at the bottom? We keep holding this trend line. We keep holding it up. So if we lose this, we're going to likely test 472, 470, get a little back test. And if we continue to fail at 470, expect a bigger dump like this. So this dump I'm showing you, the red line I'm showing you right here, technically speaking, it is more probable since we have a bear flag forming. But at the moment I'm recording this, I can't promise anything until we officially get a break. So the odds do favor the bear flag playing out as kind of like pushing when we open, maybe establishing a lower high to change our market structure, then coming back down. That is a bit more probable, but just to be safe, we have to wait and see if we get confirmation for a break. We're also going to have this line as resistance. This is also going to be resistance as well, this blue trend line. So do we attempt to rebound like this? Could we break 476 to turn bullish? It's possible, but less likely. And do we end up breaking from this bear flag and just start coming back down like this? Honestly, guys, we have to wait and see and watch to be safe, but the odds do favor the Bears a little bit more, just a slight bit more. Watch and see if we get a break. That's going to be the key for Tuesday. That's going to be very, very important. For the QQQ, it's the same thing to a T. Basically, we're going to try to bounce, in my opinion. I think it's going to attempt to bounce a little bit, But we're going to be watching, could the move end up holding or does the move end up failing? Do we continue to hold in the structure and push higher? It is possible, but I think that we're going to get kind of like a pump and dump move, and maybe we'll see if we hold or not. Or if we fail to hold this support right here, this line, then we're going to be breaking back down to 408 and even below that, all the way down to 405.7. Okay, that's going to be a bearish break from this flag. The bear flags typically lead to this, us coming back down. So that is looking a bit more probable. But just to be safe, don't turn into a true massive bear until we see confirmation to the downside. We need to close below this bear flag to turn bearish. Okay? So watch for confirmation. See if we're going to pump first and come back down. See if we continue to hold or if we end up breaking. If we break, we turn bearish, expect some downside, and be very careful. For Nvda, we have something very similar. We have another flag forming. Nvidia has actually broken below it just a little bit, but it's trying to get back into it. It's trying to hold up. So Nvidia is very easy. If we push back up to 490, watch and see if we get a rejection and come back down. If we reject off 490 and we fail to break back into this flag, into this channel, Nvidia is going to be sinking back down to 485, 482, these lower levels to at least 482, and then we're going to likely retest this blue trend line. The blue trend line, it aligns with historical support. So I know this is kind of messy, guys. I'm sorry about that, but notice how we kind of like touched it, we bounced, we touched it, we bounced, touched it, we bounced. This blue line right here, that still is going to hold as support if we do end up coming down. So if we do get a bearish break, that's going to lead to downside for Nvidia and a 485 retest. If you want to be bullish, you need to see if Nvidia doesn't just test 490 and reject, but if we break back into the channel and we start pushing back up for 495. You need to see it get back into this channel for there to be hope for the bulls. Otherwise, the bears have the edge. I hope that's as clear as possible. The bears have the edge unless it manages to get back above 490. If it gets back above 490 and we get back into this channel, it could push for longer. If it fails to do that, if it rejects off 490, expect a bigger dump coming all the way back into the 480s. All right, guys, hopefully that was very clear for NVIDIA. That's what I'm seeing so far. I forgot to mention that when you look at the daily candlesticks, so I already went over like SPY and Tesla. For QQQ, the daily is looking very indecisive. We could still see downside, but just to be safe, we have to wait for it. NVIDIA on the daily, is barely holding the 5 EMA. If the 5 EMA breaks, in my opinion, I think we could see this thing actually retrace a bit and get very close to 480. That's the 20 EMA to be tested. So could this turn bearish? Yes, it can. It still could. We're losing some momentum. We need to see a confirmation break to the downside. We have to see it reject. On Aapl, it's barely holding the daily 20 EMA at 193.33. If we lose this, expect a bigger drop. It could get very close to 190. So Apple's looking kind of weak on the daily. Watch the 20 EMA as key support. We're barely holding support right now. That's going to be key for Aapl. Now, when it comes to Aapl, I just want to call out that for now, Apple is just barely holding up. We're going to be watching to see if anything changes. But overall, the structure is looking bearish. It's barely holding up. It's just looking kind of bearish. This is what I see basically. We have the downtrend forming on Aapl. We have this wick right here, which suggests that it's going to bounce. But when it bounces, we're going to have a big test at 194.4 or so. The question is, does Aapl break out of this potential flag that's forming? I wouldn't call it a flag. I would just say that we have a downtrend. Do we officially break resistance? You can see we have this resistance right here, this white trend line. Do we break it at 194.4 and start pushing back above 195? If it breaks that, watch for 196. We have this imbalance to fill at 195.8, and then we have 196. Do we get back up to the high 195s? Do we break out of this to the upside? Or do we get a big rejection off the trend line and start coming back down towards 193.5 to 192.5? Do we pump and dump or do we pump and break? That's going to be key for Tuesday on Aapl, Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll just have to wait and see. As of right now, what looks more probable would be the red line I have drawn out because it keeps rejecting off this trend line 1, 2, 3 rejections. No sign of it breaking yet. So there's a good chance it might actually come lower, especially because it looks kind of weak on the daily, barely holding this support at the 20 EMA. So we'll see if Aapl could hold this or not. It does look kind of weak, so just be very careful. And just to be safe, make sure you watch your structures. All right, guys. So Tesla family, I don't know what's going to happen with the news. I am pre-recording this because I'm going to be unavailable for Christmas weekend. But hopefully this video was helpful. Please come back to this video, especially for tomorrow if you want more insights. I'm not going to do much technical analysis tomorrow. I just want to focus on something else. And with that being said, I'll have very few videos for the next few days, today and then tomorrow, and everything will go back to normal starting on Tuesday when the market opens. I'll be back to my normal scheduling. So I just want to take a break. I'm pre-recording this video. Please take care, guys. Pay attention to the news. Do what you have to do and make sure you watch your key levels. All right. So you guys can see the levels here as well if you want to just look at them as well. And then do what you have to do. Have a very Merry Christmas Eve. Tomorrow is Christmas. Please take care. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And do what you have to do, guys. Thank you. Tesla in the market to the moon because the long term is still incredibly bright despite these short term fluctuations. And peace out.